They experienced Canucks hockey, folks. There's literally nothing else I can say to lead off this show. And Agam literally says the same thing. The Vancouver Canucks, they make it look like they're going to run away with this game early, and they absolutely choke it. They blow it, and what can we say? But it's a story as old as last year when it comes to the special teams. It is a complete and utter disaster on the part of the special teams. 8 power plays for the Vancouver Canucks. 8 power plays on a power play that is, like, on paper is so high powered and looks so good. 8 power plays, 1 goal for, 1 shorthanded goal against. So 8 power plays, an absolute wash. And by the way, the Oilers went out and they scored 2 on the power play themselves. What else can you say? The Vancouver Canucks absolutely blew this game, but we'll do what we always do. We'll go back. We'll relive the pain. We'll spend a bit extra time on the first period, which was pretty fun. I mean, what a fantastic start to this game by the Vancouver Canucks. And offensively, the Canucks were pretty good. It's in their own zone where they ran into trouble, and they're against a power play that is absolutely unstoppable, and a few players that's absolutely unstoppable. In a vacuum, the Vancouver Canucks lost a game to a team that is supposed to be one of the contenders in the NHL. It was a road game. It was a game that, in a vacuum, the Canucks were supposed to lose. But this wasn't a vacuum. This was a game where the Canucks came out to a 3-0 lead in the first 20 and a half minutes, and they blew it. So let's do a quick recap. Elias Pettersson, my goodness, what a goal. Comes out a minute 49 in. Reads the pass from Holloway perfectly, picks it off, basically takes it all the way around the goalie, a little cut back behind the net, and tucks it in on his own rebound. Elias Pettersson, we'll get to this in the pluses and minuses. Elias Pettersson looked fantastic. He's Elias Pettersson. This is not the first 45 games of last season Elias Pettersson. This is Elias Pettersson, and God willing, this will be Elias Pettersson for the entire season. And then less than a minute later, JT Miller comes out and shows why the Canucks paid him a bunch of money. Did I want the Canucks to maybe trade him, get a bunch of assets because I worried about the amount of money he would get? Sure. That's in the past. The Canucks have JT Miller. They have him for the next 8 years. So let's have some fun. Let's watch this guy score some goals. And he comes in a minute 49, or 2:40, into the first period. 2-on-1 with Besser, just rips the wrister. It's high glove on Campbell. Campbell should have been able to get up and get it, but it's a laser beam. It gets through. It's 2-0 Canucks. And I want to give a shout to Quinn Hughes here. Quinn Hughes, with a great defensive play to basically steal this puck on the break-in for the Oilers, do a little quick pivot with his skates and make a great pass up to JT Miller, who went up and made that play. And again, we're going to get to this in the pluses and minuses, but my goodness, Quinn Hughes is a heck of a hockey player. Which, I mean, we already knew. Demko made some big saves in the first period. There was that cross crease to Jesse Puljujarvi while Quinn Hughes was without his stick. Horvat was too slow to realize that Quinn Hughes didn't have a stick, didn't get the stick to him. Hughes had to make the dive that was too late. Demko made a big save there. McDavid had a prime chance in the high slot. The Demko made the save with the blocker. And then the Canucks have everything going their way, and Darnell Nurse takes a dumb penalty as time expires in the first period. The cheap hit on Kyle Burrows. And we go to intermission, and Anthony Stewart says he praises Darnell Nurse for this hit. And what the worst part about this Canucks loss is not that they lost, it's that Anthony Stewart now gets to look at himself and be like, yeah, I was right in saying that hit by Darnell Nurse sparked the Oilers and sparked the crowd. It went to intermission. The crowd was not sparked from that. They had an 18-minute break and then 2 minutes of shorthanded time in which the Canucks scored. Andrei Kuzmenko getting his first power play goal. And his first goal of his NHL career. What a pass by JT Miller. I mean, JT Miller was very good tonight. Defensively, he was very good. That pass to Kuzmenko was very good. It's a 2-point night for him. And Kuzmenko, no selly, just like, yeah, I did that. Love it. Kuzmenko with a nice goal. And then things start to go against the Canucks. Tanner Pearson goes to the penalty box. And then on the ensuing power play, Quinn Hughes takes a stick up high. No call. You've all seen it at this point. It is absolutely egregious from the officials to not call this as a 4-minute penalty on Quinn Hughes. And you think about it, the Canucks had 3 power plays to this point. They were up 3-0. The refs are going to let things go for the Edmonton Oilers. And it's not like a thing against the refs. It's just the way the NHL is. Teams that have had the first 3 power plays or 3 consecutive power plays, the stats something like they're 20% odds to get the next power play. Like it just doesn't work that way. And so off the ice stick from Quinn Hughes, he's dazed. He's lost in the middle of the ice. They don't blow it down for injury because the Canucks never possessed the puck. They don't blow it down for the high stick because the one ref who was next to the net definitely wasn't looking, but the ref outside the zone has to catch that, especially when there's a guy bleeding on the ice. And the Oilers score. Hughes goes straight down the tunnel. He did come back 10 minutes later, thank God, but had the plug up the nose. So now Edmonton has some momentum with a power play goal that shouldn't have happened. The Canucks should have had a nice little 3-minute power play going off of that, and it didn't happen. Then the Canucks take a too many men penalty. And, it's the first game of the season, and there's people who aren't super familiar playing with each other, but you can't take too many men penalties. It's inexcusable, and especially in a game where you have absolutely dominated the first period. You had a 3-0 lead, and the momentum's starting to shift the other way. You can't take a too many men penalty. And this Edmonton power play was absurd. I mean, I don't really blame the Canucks penalty kill on this one. That's a silly goal that they scored. That is, I saw a tweet saying it was Globetrotters-esque. Absolutely. But you can look at it and say, look, the Canucks allowed 2 power play goals here in a game where they're coming off of a season. I mean, it technically was 3 power play goals with the empty netter at the end. Edmonton went 3 for 4 on the power play tonight. The Canucks had the worst PK in the league for most of last year. That's not a good start. Edmonton took a too many man penalty as well. And then Miller had a breakaway that he didn't score on, which sucks. Podkolzin then draws a penalty late in the second period on Connor McDavid on a good drive to the net. Lovely play. And then somehow the Canucks give up a 3-on-1 and Darnell Nurse scores. And now it's 3-3. All the momentum's on Edmonton's side after 2 periods. It's just a monumental collapse. And even though the Canucks had more shots at this point, they had more expected goals, they had more Corsi, every single metric other than special teams, the Canucks were dominant. You knew what was coming. You knew the third period was going to come. The Canucks were going to get some chances and not be able to score. And Edmonton was going to finish it off. I had a tweet that I got some heat for. I said, please just get a point. Well, people are like, oh, you jinxed it. I didn't jinx it because I felt it. I felt it was coming. It was obvious it was coming, and it came. And the Oilers take the lead with 5 minutes to go in the third period. But there's a few things that happened before that. I mean, Demko made a fantastic save off of Vander Kane. Horvat misses a grade A one-timer with 5.5 to go. We go to commercial break. Then right after, that's when that McDavid goal happens. Tanner Pearson had the puck get caught in his feet. Connor McDavid took it from him while the puck was in Tanner Pearson's feet. Quinn Hughes thought he could make the little pinch to go clear the puck away. He bites to the left. McDavid goes to the right, and McDavid takes a shot, stopped, rebound. He jams it in. And now the Canucks are on the back foot, down a goal. So what happens? Well, the Canucks get another power play. They get their 8th power play of the game. Evander Kane going to the net. 8 power plays in the game, and their one goal was that backdoor pass to Kuzmenko. Their 8th power play of the game. What do? A minute in, Besser takes a high sticking penalty. Misses the stick lift, catches a guy in the face. Ball game. Really, I mean, the Canucks, while it was 4-on-4, they pulled Demko, and they pulled Demko a little bit after. I mean, McDavid scores with 25 seconds left. That doesn't matter, but, that penalty iced it. It's not Besser's fault the Canucks lost this game. Sure, he wasn't fantastic this game, but he wasn't terrible. He's coming off of hand surgery, whatever. I mean, he's not going to be the first person I blame in this game. It's a collapse. And it's the first game of the year. But you have Vegas with 2 points, and I don't want to be standings watching already, but the Canucks are going to be in that race with Vegas and LA is sort of where we've decided that the Canucks are going to end up, right? We got Calgary, Edmonton 1-2, and then it's going to be Canucks, Vegas, maybe LA in that mix for that for the 3, 4, 5 spots. Vegas got the win last night. Canucks don't get the win tonight. Canucks are starting the season off sort of with the short stick. Now they have 2 games, or they have 4 more games on this road trip. If you are in the Canucks dressing room, if you're Bruce Boudreau, you are trying to keep spirits high. You're going out and saying, hey, look at how good our offense was. Yeah, we got beat by Connor McDavid. That'll happen. Demko was fine. None of the goals were really his fault. Maybe the fourth one I didn't love. But the other ones, I mean, what is he? He's not going to do too much more on those. You can go out and say, look, our offense was good. Our best players converted, right? Pettersson, Miller, and Kuzmenko scored. Besser, Hughes, Miller, Horvat on the assists. That's good. So you can look and you can say, look, next on our calendar is Philly. We are going from one of the best teams in the league to one of the worst teams in the league, projected to be a bottom 3 team by most models and most betting odds. This is your time to go and just get this one back. Go to Philly, get the win. Go to Washington, maybe get the win there. That'll be a bit more of an even matchup in theory. But if you are in the Canucks dressing room, you're trying to keep spirits high and say, look, we're going to go to Philly on Saturday, and we're going to get the win. We're going to be 1-1, and then we can worry about it from there. Let's go to pluses and minuses. Folks, I got a lot of pluses because I was doing a lot of note-taking earlier in this game. 5v5, Vancouver Canucks were the better team, and I can back that up. I got the numbers. Of course, I've got the numbers to back that up. At 5-on-5, about 43 minutes of 5-on-5 time in this game. Corsi was pretty even. The Vancouver Canucks expected goals were 2 to Edmonton's 1.72. Now, if you ignore the third period, the Canucks were by far the better team at 5v5, but the third period they weren't. Second period they were. First period they were. The third period they were not. And the third period's where it counts, right? You can't win a game in the. You quote Pete Carroll. Do you win a game in the first period? No. Do you win a game in the second period? No. You win the game in the third period, and the Canucks didn't. The Canucks did not win the third. Elias Pettersson, big plus. Big plus. Elias Pettersson was good, very good. Drew a penalty, scored a goal. He looked great. I'd like to see a bit more heat on that one-timer on the power play. He looked like he was putting him a little more into the chest instead of up here next to the goalie's head, but alas, that'll happen. I thought Pettersson was really good. I thought the fourth line was fine. I don't know how much ice time they got. It probably wasn't that much. I can pull that up here. They got about 10 minutes of ice time. Dakota Joshua only 7 minutes or so. Lazar only 7 minutes. Amon had 10. So only 7 minutes of ice time for the fourth line. And I thought they kind of held their own in that very limited period of time. You're going to see a bunch of zeros across the board for them, which for the fourth line is pretty okay. I wonder if I can actually see how they did individually at 5v5. It's such a minor. They didn't play enough to really count. Next on my list, block shots. I mean, the Canucks blocked 9 shots in the first. I don't know how that ended up throughout the game. That's when I took that note. Blocks ended up being 17-16. So the Canucks outblocked the Oilers 9-1 in the first period and let up on the shot blocking throughout the rest of the game. And it was noticeable in the first period, but you got to keep that up throughout the game. JT Miller defensively, low bar. He cleared it. Quinn Hughes, fantastic. Unreal. It sucked that the Canucks lost him for 10 minutes. And he still played 25 minutes of ice time tonight. And he was very good. That one mistake on that fourth Edmonton goal, but a tricky play with the puck in Pearson's skates. And also just the defensive plays into the transitions, right? That Miller goal, the second almost Miller goal when he had the breakaway, just he kept taking pucks away from people and making perfect passes up the ice. Just sucks that he only got the 1 point. He deserved a bunch more. I thought Luke Shen was solid. There was that one play, especially in front of the net, where he broke up that Connor McDavid pass and then went on like a rush of his own and almost scored. And that's it for pluses. On to the minuses. Hoaglander's first period wasn't good. I think he got better throughout the game. But in a situation where you have a guy like Mikheyev who could be back any day, you've got people waiting in the wings to try to take your roster spot. Hoaglander needs to come out better in the first period. He was great in preseason. That leash is probably a little bit longer than it was to start the year, but he needed to be better. And I thought he got better after the first period. But I mean, you notice he played 15 minutes while Pettersson and Pettersson played about 21. Kuzmenko played about 17. Obviously, the power plays most of the difference there. I thought the reffing was pretty bad both ways. The Canucks had 8 power plays, and I think the Oilers, they were probably all valid, but some of them were kind of easy. But then there's that high stick that's so obvious. And then, the Canucks had the power play edge in this game. And I think the power plays ended up about the number they should have been at. But the way we got there was crazy and it wasn't very good. Just that one high stick is just so obvious that it makes that tough. I didn't love Bo Horvat's game. I thought of all the people in the top 9, and that is, like the entire top 9, Patterson, Miller, Besser, Kuzmenko, Podkolzin, all of these guys. I even thought Tanner Pearson was okay in the first period, and then and maybe even the second period, but he takes 2 penalties, and that kills the game for them, and then makes that mistake on the 4th McDavid goal, and his game wasn't that great. Bo Horvat, I thought, was pretty invisible. Like genuinely, he was not noticeable out there. He wasn't making any plays really. I think he was like genuinely just invisible out there. I wonder what his stat line was. 1 assist, -1, 3 shots, 1 hit, 1 block, 1 giveaway. Yeah, I mean, 3 shots, didn't feel like it, but yeah, I mean, I didn't love his game. I think he needs to do more. The obvious minus, though, to wrap things up, is the special teams. Like I said, 1 for on the power play and allowing a shorthanded goal. You basically have 16 minutes of potential power play time, and you wasted all. They took 2 penalties that shortened their power plays. Just a waste. Meanwhile, you go up against Edmonton's power play, and they are lights out against a Canucks penalty kill that has not had a good start, clearly. Special teams has to be better. I mean, you look at all the, 3 of those goals, four of Edmonton's 5 goals were at special teams, 3 power plays and 1 shorthanded. That's the difference. That's the difference right there. All right. That's my recap. That's my 16 and a half minutes of nonsense. Folks, time to go to you. We will take some Q's. I'll give some A's. We're 15 minutes in. We'll probably go another 25, 30 minutes. So let's go to the people. I will pull up the old question machine, and let's scroll up to the top and see what questions people have. If you have any questions, throw it in the chat. Agam, 5 straight unanswered is unacceptable. Could have used a timeout. Yeah, I didn't even think about that really, but I mean, you think about the timing of these goals, right? Edmonton's 3rd goal was right before the intermission. So maybe you could have taken one after the McDavid power play goal, that second goal of the game. I don't know though. Like, it doesn't feel like that would have done much. And in the 3rd period, Edmonton doesn't score until there's 5 minutes left. I mean, you can take a timeout there, but again, there's not much of a point. And they did end up taking it when they were trying to set up a play late. So I don't think there was really the best opportunity for that timeout, unless you were thinking, middle of the 2nd period to try to kill some momentum. Jaskran's saying after the 2nd Oilers goal, and yeah, that's sort of the only place it might have made sense. But the Canucks were still on top at that point, so I can kind of see why it didn't happen. Agam saying that also that, remember this time around last year, special teams, the Canucks Achilles heel still somehow. I think that power play is going to be good. I think the power play is going to be good. The penalty kill is going to be iffy. You got to remember, they were against Edmonton. Edmonton is one of the best power plays in the NHL, and it's not very close. They are unreal on the power play, and that's who the Canucks ran into tonight. It's unfortunate, but, I don't think, I mean, I just think about that McDavid goal, that 2nd power play goal. I mean, if Lazar wins the faceoff, like, then things are better, but, man, I mean, what are you going to do about that? Like, how are you going to stop that goal from happening? Unless you just go hug McDavid right after the faceoff and don't let him move for 2 minutes, but then you get a penalty. So, yeah, I think, special teams was bad, but it's still one night. Sample size is low. What else do we got here? Jaskran saying, whenever I see the Canucks playing on the road for the first game of the season, reminds me of a scheduled loss. Yeah, I don't think so. I think, it's the Oilers, right? It's a good team. The odds going into this game were about 60-40 on most betting websites. Not that I am endorsing any betting websites, because you guys get enough of that during the hockey game. Yeah, I mean, you're scheduled for a bunch of losses in the year, though, right? I mean, if this is one of them, I guess that's kind of the case. The Elder saying McDavid is pumped to get off to the NHL scoring league lead every first game. Too bad it's always against us. Yeah, McDavid on pace for 240-something goals this year, whatever the math is, 246. Not bad, eh? But also like 300-something penalty minutes, so maybe that's good. Kai saying, I don't like his contract, but I thought Poolman had some really nice defensive plays. If he can just control himself at times, make the simple play, he could be somewhat useful. Poolman was up and down tonight. I think he had a couple of mistakes that I noticed, but he also did have a couple of pretty good plays. I mean, he had that one rush that was decent. I thought he made a couple of nice pokes and playing the puck up. Not as well as Quinn Hughes, obviously, but that's a high bar. I thought Pullman was absolutely okay, and that he needs to be at this level basically the entire year. Puckface saying you really like the Joshua Amon Lazar line. Yeah, we didn't see much of it. Like I said, only about 7 minutes. But yeah, I thought they were fine. I love Lazar's energy. Excuse me. I think he just every time when he chases the puck, he seems to put so much into it. That yeah, I think he's, I really like Lazar. Amon, I didn't see much, but he's the fourth line guy in his first NHL game. You're not expecting a ton, and Joshua got run over by a goalie, which was hilarious. And honestly, I think Joshua kind of took the hit a little bit easy to make sure he didn't get a goalie interference call. Let's say McDavid hit 700 points before his 500th game. Yeah, I mean, you think about McDavid's in like his 8th season now. And you think of all the time he's missed, right? I mean, he had that big injury. There was the pandemic shortened seasons, and he's already got 700 points, 1.4 points per game plus, or whatever the number is. It is absurd. He is a crazy, crazy player. Jaskrin saying, we think alike. We both knew it would happen in the third. Of course. Yeah, we knew it would happen. Teska saying, there are positives to be pulled from the game. If we play like that most of the time, we will be okay. Edmonton's a team that'll make a deep playoff run. We're a team that'll celebrate getting knocked out in the first round if we get there. The fact we were ahead is good. Not every team is Edmonton. Look, if the Canucks had gone into this game and just been outplayed throughout the entire game, there's definitely two sides to this coin. I had this conversation on Canucks After Dark with Clay. And I said, if the Canucks come out to a pretty poor start, or let's say they lose 3 or 4 of the first 5 on the road trip, but they play really well in them, are you upset or not? Are you a process over results oriented person, right? Where you can say, all right, hey, the Canucks were the better team, and they ran into some special teams trouble. They'll get that can get fixed, and most of the time they win a game like this against worse teams, because they're against worse teams a lot of the time than Edmonton. That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, are we at the point where it's too late for moral victories? Right? Sure, it's game 1 of the season, but we are years into this, into the, they looked good, but they lost. They'll turn it around and they'll be fine. So that's sort of the balance I have to sort of work with, right? I came into this being process over results. I said, if the Canucks look good and they lose, maybe they get goalied or something weird happens and they lose, that Quinn Hughes high stick, for example, I was like, I won't be upset, whatever. They'll win most of the games that end up like this. But then you actually experience it. You watch it on TV. You sit there and you feel your soul die a little bit with every single Oilers goal after being out to a 3-0 lead. And it's hard to go back to that process over results mindset when you are suffering through the pain that we now have of the Canucks losing this game when it was firmly within their grasp, right? 3-0 lead. I mean, you got to be like 90-95% chance to win a game like that. Although when you're against an offensive team like the Oilers, you never know. But yeah, no, I totally see where you're coming from. There were a lot of positives. I mean, my pluses and minus segment, there were a lot of positives that went over there. Dimitri saying, disappointing game, but I see some bright spots and room for improvement. Pods and Kuzmenko looked good. Curious as to why Pearson is on line 1 and if that will stick. I hope not. What do you think? Tanner Pearson's not on line 1. That's my first note. Tanner Pearson played 17 minutes tonight. Elias Pettersson played about 22. Besser played about 20, and he's on the second power play along with Pearson, I believe. He's playing with, some good players, but I don't think the Canucks sort of have 3 lines that they're running to start the year, which I think is a totally fine strategy to have. Then that 4th line is when you need a break, play them for 7 minutes. I don't know if he sticks exactly with the people he's with. I think it's a bit tough I don't think they're making changes this early. I liked Pearson's first period. I didn't like the rest of his game. We don't know how long the leash is, but I don't see Boudreau going in and making a bunch of changes unless Mikheyev comes back and then you see who gets dropped, right? Do they pull Höglander back? Do they pull Pearson back? Who gets pulled out for Mikheyev's spot if Mikheyev's ready to go? Other than that, I don't see them making any major changes, especially on a 2-day break going into Philly, where it's a game that they should win. So that's my thought. Elder saying Laine is hurt. Will beat Philly and Columbus. I guess you're not confident about Washington, but that's fair. Lincoln saying Edmonton is a amazing team. Their cup contenders 100%. It's like facing Toronto or Tampa or the Canes. Canes are kind of a weird one to throw in there right now, but I guess they're fine. We did a good job against a top tier team. Only meant it was 3-0 and they choked. Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. If the Canucks had been like slightly outplayed the entire game and just lost this game like 4-2 and it was a standard loss, Edmonton was up like 2-0 and the Canucks made it 2-1. Then it was 3-1, 3-2, 4-2 game. That's an entirely different story over you have a 3-0 lead. You just got to hang on to it. That's where the pain comes in for me. Blitz saying Poulin was kind of sort of okay. So that's a bit of a plus. Yep, that is fair. The other 3 open nets killed us too. Yeah, I think the Edmonton had one too. They had a big open net that got missed. But yeah, I mean, you got to convert on those. There was that Miller one that went right to the corner. I mean, look, I'm a much worse hockey player, obviously, than these players, right? I play beer league hockey, but those one-timers are hard. Those cross creases, that's a small target. The puck's moving towards you. You got to account for that. There's math involved. My brain's not that quick. But yeah, I mean, they're NHL players. You want to convert on those when you get opportunities that well or that good. What else do we got? Jaskran saying Horvat had the one great chance in the slot, but no one screened Campbell. I don't really remember that, but that's fair. Puckface saying Horvat was winning faceoffs, though. Sure. Yeah, he won 61% of the faceoffs. That is good, but he's not the captain of the team to win faceoffs, right? He's the captain of the team to lead by example, not to be a -1 and be basically invisible most of the night. Sharm Singh was at 5 points for McDavid. I think just 4. He only got the assist on the Draisaitl goal, not the Nurse goal, unless something changed. But on the NHL website, it just says Draisaitl on that one. Peter saying, thoughts on P today? I really feel like he's going to hit the 80-90 point range. Maybe a hot take, but thoughts? You say it's maybe a hot take. I think it's like a medium to mild take. Elias Pettersson looks so good. He only gets the 1 point tonight in a game where, I mean, that goal was so silky, so smooth. And the amount and with how good this Canucks power play should be, I think Pettersson's getting a power play point every other night. You add in the 5-on-5 points. I mean, you look at last year, right? He put up 68 points in 80 games, and he was really bad for the first 40 of them. If Pettersson remains good all year, I think 80 points is 100% within reason. 90 would be nice, but I'd say 80. Assuming healthy and all that stuff. Knock on wood. I would assume 80 should be in the cards. At the very least, he should be pushing for it at the very least. Vince saying, do you think the Canucks missed Myers tonight, or do you think the D managed well enough? Hughes play goes without saying, but I also thought Schenn, Burroughs, and even Stillman did well. Yeah, it's weird. A game that the Canucks allowed 5 goals. I mean, 4 that weren't empty netters. I thought the Canucks defense was fine. Again, you look at the guys who scored for Edmonton. It's 3 McDavid goals and Draisaitl and Nurse on a 3-on-1 shorthanded. Right, it's their best players. I think the Canucks missed Myers tonight. Because, I mean, would you rather have, Stillman playing 11 minutes or Tyler Myers playing 20? You'd probably rather have Tyler Myers. But if you look across the board here, Quinn Hughes was the only defenseman that was a minus, right? And I think that, there was only one even strength goal. I guess the shorthanded goal would count against as well. So those 2, I guess Hughes was out for both. But you look at Luke Schenn, 3 shots, 6 hits, 4 blocks in 19 minutes. Tucker Poolman, 2 shots, 2 hits, 1 block, 1 takeaways, no giveaways. That's pretty good for Tucker Poolman. He's not getting any points. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 22 minutes, 3 shots, 2 hits, 2 blocks, and a giveaway. Unfortunate. But I thought Ekman-Larsson, when he was doing the PP1 duties while Hughes was hurt, wasn't that good. I mean, he had 3 missed passes for Miller, it looked like. But generally, I think the Canucks defense was totally serviceable, which is weird to say in a game, like I said, where they allowed 4 goals that weren't empty netters. But I thought they were fine. But I would still much rather have Tyler Myers in. But it's going to be another week or 2 without him, maybe 3. So the Canucks got to work with what they got. Do I see like Rathbone coming in? Probably not, based on this game. but we'll see. Puckface saying having McCabe back should help the PK improve. Yeah, a bit. I mean, hopefully. Canucks PK was a lot of like Miller, Pettersson, and Horvat, which, I mean, they're no slouches. Garland was out there as well. I think McKay is a better penalty killer than Garland. So maybe if he's taking that minute or so of PK time, that might be nice, but might help a bit. Fun asking what website I use for advanced stats. I use Natural Stat Trick for everything. It's easy and it's always updated by the time the game's over. Mind Eye saying Stillman got played by McDavid. Rathbone next game. I want you to go back and read that first sentence. Stillman got played by Connor McDavid. Yeah, he got played by Connor McDavid. I mean, like, it's going to happen to anybody, right? Unless you're Cale Makar, Adam Fox, or Quinn Hughes, or Hedman, or whoever you want to put on that list, not Riley Stillman. But guess what? I bet Jack Rathbone gets beat by McDavid a lot of the time too. I don't think they're going to change much up. That is the easiest swap to make, would be a Stillman for Rathbone swap, which I wouldn't hate to see. But I don't necessarily see it happening unless the Canucks think they need more like puck movement from their back end, which I think they were fine on most of this game, right? I think the Canucks had a pretty good transition game. I mean, the shots were 36-25. They had the puck in the offensive zone a good amount of time. Rathbone might help a bit, but I don't know how much. Sharm's saying, I feel like Rathbone should draw, and even though Stillman looked not too bad. And I think that does go back to, I think Rathbone's a better player, and has had more time in the system than Stillman has. But yeah, I think Stillman looked fine. Let's see here. Dogwood saying things fell apart after Hughes got smacked up. Nasty, they couldn't call a goal back. Yeah, I checked the rule book. There's nothing saying that they can call it back. The reviews don't work that way. There's nothing that says you can review it for like a blatant penalty before the game, before the play. Whistle only goes on an injury if your team possesses it. So, it's unfortunate. It's a missed call, but it's not the only reason the Canucks lost tonight. JX saying missing Mikheyev on the PK tonight. So how you doing? Saying Myers is a huge help to the Canucks power play as well. I don't know about that. I don't think Tyler Myers is getting a bunch of PP time right now. I think you got Hughes on the first, you got OEL on the second, and maybe Myers if you want to run two defensemen. But I don't think he's a huge help to the Canucks power play. Elder saying he liked the decor tonight. I think that's fair. SMW saying the fourth is no good without Mott or Highmore. Sure, Mott's a big missing piece, but I think Lazar fills that role pretty well. I think they're pretty similar. And they only played about 7 minutes, and I think they were totally fine in their time out there. I don't think the Canucks were missing Tyler Mott too much tonight. Agam saying thoughts on potential VAR introduction into hockey. Having clear penalties and build-up to goals just can't be allowed. It's tough. I mean, where do you draw the line, right? You can say, sure, the blatant ones like high sticks and, things of that nature, where it's like, the stick touched the head, that's high sticking. But like, what's the buildup to a goal, right? Is it the entire play? Is it a minute? Is it 2 minutes? Is it only while it's in the defensive zone, right? At some point, you got to draw the line. And I think it's just a bad missed call. And I'd like that stuff like that reviewed, especially, maybe it's only high sticks, but yeah, I think, I don't know. I don't love adding more and more and more reviews, when we get very, very nitpicky at that point. Charm saying one big positive, P looks like himself. Lots of moral victories comments. Elder saying they ran out of steam. Hope they got good conditioning. They started looking flat despite the momentum change. Yeah, I don't think they really ran out of steam. I think that was just natural Connor McDavid taking over a hockey game. To be honest, Levi saying the Oilers are just better. I mean, they are. Yeah. Again, it's that 3-0 that hurts the most. Fun Q saying last season's poor start didn't seem concerning until it became psychological. They could look decent in early losses and crumble in a flash. Treat the Philly and Columbus games like playoff games. Yeah, they're not must wins, but they're nice to wins, right? You want to be ahead of the 500 curve early in the season. You can't be battling from behind the 8 ball. It's one loss. It happens, but they gotta build up some wins here. Tyson saying this game felt like Pocket Kings losing to an ace on the river. Been there. Yeah, that's it did kind of feel like that. Yeah, the Canucks were, 90% odds, right? Oilers had like 2 outs and they hit them. Levi saying Kuzmenko was the best player on the Canucks that game. He was up there for sure. Kuzmenko was great. I'm very impressed with Kuzmenko. Saying Barry had a good game too. Yeah, Barry was good too. Again, is that the big guns that were really noticeable for Edmonton. Quadrup saying, imagine if we didn't have Kuzmenko when he signed with Edmonton. Yeah, if they didn't take him to Joey, maybe that would have happened. But the Joey, hopefully the Joey experience comes back to bite the Oilers more so in the future. What else do we got? Dogwood saying, if you can't score on the power play, teams will take tons of liberties on you. Yeah, and I heard a lot of talk about this over the offseason, and the Canucks do seem like they are built to be very successful on the power play. And they weren't this game, and it allowed the Oilers to take liberties on them. Well, I don't think they were really taking liberties on them. There was that Nurse hit, right? The Nurse hit was taking an obvious liberty on a Canucks player because he was pissed off, right? But I don't think they were out there taking a bunch of like dirty penalties, like knowing that, we can afford the penalty kill, because they were whining about every single penalty that they got. Yeah, but in the future, you gotta build up a 20+% power play and punish the teams for taking those penalties. Eastside Shy saying, I think Höglander needs to hit the HL for a bit. What do you think? I think Höglander has a lot of really good play in him. He wasn't great tonight. He was really good in the preseason. I mean, who are you replacing him with at this point, though? With the injuries the Canucks have, right? They don't have Dickinson anymore. Mikheyev's out. Do you go the Sheldon Dries route over Höglander? I don't think so. Again, when Mikheyev comes back, though, that's going to be the question, right? Who comes out? Is it a Dakota Joshua? Is it Niels Höglander, right? Who are they going to pull out of the lineup when Mikheyev is back? And hopefully Mikheyev is back soon, and then we can answer that question. Quattrop saying that Kuzmenko had an 81% Corsi in his first game, on ice for 17 shot attempts, only 4 shot against at 5-on-5. I mean, the Canucks as a whole were going to 5-on-5, and especially that unit, right? Especially Kuzmenko and Pettersson together, they were fantastic at 5-on-5. All right, we're at 37 minutes here. We're going to take a handful of more questions here, folks. Let's see here. Oh, we're there. Oh, Hope became an 18-month member. Thank you very much. If you're interested in memberships, you can click the join button down below. Obviously not necessary. Everyone's loving on Kuzmenko. BW saying he thinks Besser looks slow and out of place. I don't think he looked great tonight. Again, hand surgery makes it, I got to give him a bit of leeway. But he needs to produce this year. Absolutely. Agam saying all part of the master plan to get Connor Bedard. He'll come here in a few years anyways. He loves it here. Let's see here. Mind I saying Petey and Amon are the same size, yet Amon is seen as big, but not Petey. I don't know. Every time I looked at him on the thing, Amon looked big. Like, he looks tall. Maybe his height's wrong. What do they have him listed at? 6'2"? I don't know. He looks tall. Maybe he has like a bigger upper body or something than Pettersson. I don't know. Let's see here. G2 saying Miller played sloppy, many turnovers, not as sharp as he typically is in the power play. Yeah, I mean, you might be referring to those like 3 passes, no look passes to Ekman Larson, that one pass in his own zone to McDavid. He made some mistakes, but he scored the goal that put him up 2-0. He had the nice assist on the third goal, a beautiful assist. He played decent defensively. Overall, Miller was a net positive tonight. He wasn't great, but he was a net positive. Michael saying we need a legit shooter on our defense. They play us different with no D-shot threat. The thing is, most defensive shots aren't great, right? Like, you think of the best defenseman in the league. Like, let's look at, I don't know, let's look at Cale Makar, right? He's a pretty good player. He scored 28 goals last year, right? But lots of those were in on the rush. Like, it's not like he's a fantastic shot. He's just a really good player. But I mean, shooting percentage isn't that high among defensemen. It's just a low percentage play to shoot from the point. Sometimes you'll make things work, right? You'll get a nice tip or something along those lines. But for the most part, shots from the point you're just hoping for a deflection or a rebound. And power accuracy isn't huge. You're just hoping for a tip, or a rebound in those cases. So I think the Canucks just need a legit defense more than a legit shooter on their defense. Fun saying, I know everyone reacts to pain differently, but do you think Quinn should have showed some more toughness and get back up quicker? I bet Quinn thought he was drawing a penalty at the beginning, right? He is then bleeding, sliding out to the middle of the ice. I don't have any problem with Quinn there. The fact that after like 4 seconds, he did get up, went to fetch his glove and tried to get back in the play when he realized they weren't getting a penalty. That's fine. I mean, you're probably panicking, wondering, okay, how much am I bleeding? And is it going to be a real problem if I keep bleeding? Do I need to go off the ice right now? Right. I'm not going to hate on Quinn for that. I'm going to put a lot more blame on the official, in that case. I'm saying, who do you think comes out for Mikheyev? I think Joshua or Höglander. I thought Joshua was fine, but he was the low minute man at 6:48 tonight, right? Höglander did, he's on the second power play. He played 4 minutes power play time, 15.5 minutes this game. He was a +1 technically. But I mean, the easiest thing to look for is the low minute man. And that was Dakota Joshua at sub 7 minutes. Second lowest was Lazar, but I think they really like the way Lazar plays. So I think it will be, Joshua in those cases. Let's see here. We'll take a couple more. There's so many. You guys are crazy. We'll take like 3 more. I'm going to be a little picky. Michael wants to sign Kuzmenko for some term. He's going to be expensive, not super expensive. But if you're Kuzmenko, why would you sign anything yet? Right. You'd wait till the end of the season when you might have 50, 60 points. I don't know if there's none that are like super. Okay. Zest. I like this question. Do you think if the first Edmonton goal didn't count, this game would have a different outcome? I think Edmonton would have pulled it back and maybe it went to overtime or maybe they lose by 1, Edmonton. That goal really changed things, right? I mean, if you can imagine this game is still 3-0 halfway through the second period and the Canucks had a 3-minute power play at that point, maybe it's 4-0 at that point. Who knows, right? Obviously we're just guessing at this point. I think so. But you still got to go out and win the game and you can't blame it all on one play. All right. I think I'm going to wrap up there, folks. Before you go, I am heading out to Philadelphia for this next game on Saturday. So I will try to do, I've got some, I don't have them on me, but I've got some mics, so I can be mic'd up, and we'll do the show from the streets of Philadelphia. Hopefully the Canucks win and I don't get beat up. And then I will also be at the game in Washington. So I will hopefully do a show after that game too. Hopefully the Canucks win both of those. That'd be great. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, do all that good stuff. If you missed any part, you can rewind back to the beginning, or you can find it on your favorite podcast platform in about 20 minutes. It's good to be back. 150 plus of you here. Much appreciated. Hopefully we have a Canucks win to talk about on Saturday. Other than that though, have a lovely night and I will see you next time.